welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm doing a new release horror vlog. So I have a mixture of 4 books here. So there are 2 that are general horror and 2 that are more extreme horror. So I did get ARCs for, first of all, the new John Lynch and J. Bauer book, Sleeper Train. So this is like extreme horror mixed with erotica. And it's like this 80s, 90s sort of feel to it. I also got an ARC for the new Christopher Triana, Because You're Mine. This one is extreme horror mixed with dark romance. And this was in that like deluxe exclusive edition. What the hell am I thinking? It was that limited edition book that he wrote with Mona Kabani, is that her last name? The Dark Embrace, I think it was called. They did like a collaboration with their 2 novellas, and I did not have a chance to pick that up and read it, but he did just come out with this novella as like a standalone and sent it over to me, so that will be in this video, as well as 2 new general horror books, which I'm a little bit iffy about, we all know that. The new Paul Tremblay horror movie, and then I have this new book by Tim McGregor, Eynhallow, which is like a Frankenstein spin-off, I believe. So yeah, these are the 4 books that I'm going to be reading for this video. I'm super excited and nervous at the same time because I have not had the best track record with horror as of lately. So if you want to see my reviews on these books, just keep watching. Hello there! I'm kicking this video off with some new John Lynch, which I'm so excited about. So this is Sleeper Train. This is a little novella that he co-wrote with J. Bauer. So 2 of them wrote this book together, and this is about, I'm only like 20-some% into it. I'm like 26% in. But this is about this train, right? So there's like this luxury train that is doing like a cross-country trip, but it's like a sex thing. So super elite rich people get on this train, and it's like anything goes, you know. I don't want to talk about like sex too much on YouTube because this video is going to get demonetized, but it is like horror erotica PORN, okay? So so yeah, a lot of couples get on this train and get a room because they're looking to like rekindle their relationship. So you get what I'm trying to say. So we're following this couple who is looking to rekindle their relationship. You're also following, there's a serial killer who is called like the cleaver something or other. He chops people up with a meat cleaver, okay? So this has been going on, and because this serial killer is on the loose, we also get the perspective of a U.S. Marshal who is looking to find the serial killer and if he's on the train and who he is and where he is. So we have this little like slasher kind of extreme horror thing going on, but then also the erotica. And there's just like a lot of crazy things going on so far. I'm liking it so far. We'll see where this goes. I'm not someone that reads a ton of like erotic novels or anything like that, but we'll see. It's just like a fun, easy read so far. I've been dying to read some more John Lynch, so he sent me an ARC of this one, and this comes out on July 2nd, I believe. So all the links, as usual with my vlogs, all the books and pre-order links and everything will be in the description box down below. I like to do that for everyone. So that will be down there. And I have to work, and then I'll get back to you once I'm a little bit farther into this book. I fell on my head again yesterday, so if you've been here, like I had a concussion January 1st, then I hit something with my car and injured my head and my neck again. Now I fell down the steps yesterday and my neck and my head are killing me again. So this is my 3rd time smacking my head around. this year. So that's fun. Okay, so if I look crazy, it's because I am. This is a fake tattoo, by the way. I'm trying to plan out, I'm getting more tattoos, and I've been trying to like figure out placement and what I want. My hair is just not doing what I needed to do because I was just on my treadmill. But I got 70% through Sleeper Train, and I like it, but there are things that I don't like about it, and it's more so just personal preference. There's a lot of POVs. Like, every chapter is like a different POV, and you know, like I said, we're following the US Marshal trying to find this serial killer and try to figure out what's going on, but at the same time, this train, you know, it's like all bets are off, like do whatever you want, kind of free for all sort of thing. So there are people like that just kill for fun, and then the employees just clean up after them. It's just like the rich elite people doing whatever the fuck they want. And so it's making things a little bit more complicated because no one really cares if people are being murdered or whatever. So we're following that aspect, and then, you know, we're following this couple and something happens with them, and then you're following a couple different people on the train, and you're following a lot of different POVs, which is not my favorite as of lately because you guys know I like being like with one character and developing with them, I guess. So, you know, that's not my favorite thing in the world, but you know, a lot of people don't mind that. And also there's a lot of smut, which I know a lot of people love that and are into that and will absolutely enjoy that. For me, it doesn't really do much for me. So I'm just kind of like, yeah, like I could do without it, you know? But I am really enjoying the serial killer aspects of the book, and we do get the POV from the serial killer, so I'm enjoying that whole aspect. And now there's something a little more crazy going on with this train and with the employees and with the people on it, so I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. Okay, so I finished Sleeper Train. I liked this book, but there were things that I didn't like just because of who I am and like what my preferences are as a reader. But I would recommend this book to people that have different taste than me. Does that make sense? So this book is very much, reminds me of like an 80s B-roll sort of horror movie deal. I don't want to give too much away, but you know, there's tons of like sleazy sex and gore and violence, like I said. There were a lot of things that were super vague. I could pretty much figure out what was going on, but John does explain almost everything in his acknowledgments, so make sure you read that. That doesn't bother me. I'm not someone that needs 100% of answers. Actually, I kind of prefer if I don't have 100% of the answers, so that way I can kind of sit and think about it a little bit. There is sort of that like detective feel to it. There's lots of action. It's very plot heavy. So these are all things that I typically have not been reading as of lately. So for that reason, not my favorite thing I've read by John Lynch. As far as Jay Bauer, I've only read his novella that was in the Conservators collection, so I don't really have like a solid feel on his writing. But as far as John, he typically writes like slower, more character-driven books, and that's why I typically really love his books. And this one was kind of the complete opposite. It wasn't bad. I still liked it. Still liked the writing, just not what I typically like to read. So I gave this one 3 stars. I still would recommend it if you are someone that likes a lot of plot and action and gore and smut. This one would be for you. I think I'm gonna start the new Paul Tremblay next and see how that goes, and then I will keep you updated. I'm kind of in a lit fic mood though right now. I hate when I start a vlog like geared towards like a specific genre and I'm like, oh, all I want to do is read something else. But I'm gonna try the Paul Tremblay and see if I can get into it. Guys, I am so bored. So bored. I want to cry. I'm on page 57 of this book, right? And I've been reading it for like 3 days now. I haven't been in the mood to read, and I'm starting to wonder if it's just because I'm bored out of my mind. And then like I started another book that was boring. I have not had the best reading month. Like everything that I'm reading is like either terrible or meh, and I hate feeling that way. I'm just like really just not in the mood, honestly. And I started this and I just cannot get into it. I cannot get into it. I don't know what it is. I'm just bored out of my mind. But basically we're following this guy. So in the 90s, in like 1993, we get some, you know, back and forth chapters between then and now. And basically there was this horror movie, that was the name of it, that was filmed and never released. But just like 3 video clips of that movie were uploaded online, and people became like obsessed, and it gained this like cult following, and it's this cursed film aspect. Okay, so we're following those past chapters and like what happened while they were filming this movie. And then you also get the screenplays at the same time, so you get some chapters where you're reading through the screenplay of like what happened in the movie. And then in present day, we're following our main character now because they are trying to do a reboot and like refilm this movie, but he's the only one that is alive from the original horror movie. Okay, that's it. And I'm just bored. It kind of reminds me of the Pallbearers Club. Just like the way that it's just like this slow burn book where he's just rambling about nothing. That's what it feels like to me so far. I don't really care about any of these characters. It just feels like it's rambling and jumbled about like absolutely nothing. Whereas if I liked these characters and actually enjoyed them and their whatever, their personalities, like they have no personalities, they're very flat. I'm getting them mixed up. I'm like, who the hell is who? If I actually cared about them or liked them, this book would be fine. But so far I'm just like, okay, Paul, you're giving me nothing. Paul is giving me nothing. Everyone's giving me nothing. I'm mentally ill and I'm on drugs. I'm starving to death right now. I have to go get an abdominal ultrasound after work, and I'm not allowed to eat today, so I'm hangry. I'm just, I don't know, it's a combination of things. My ADHD has been terrible, so like that's part of the reason why I haven't really been able to read, and I'm struggling so hard to get into this, but I'm like, I gotta do it. I just gotta push through because I want to know what is all the hype. But I don't know why I want to know, because I'm always disappointed and the hype is never worth the hype. Have I really been vlogging while working this entire time? I'm like a really great employee. So it's Monday. This weekend I really wanted to finish Horror Movie and just get it over with, but first of all, it's so freaking boring. I kept putting it down. I kept getting distracted. I can't stand this fucking book. And all day yesterday, I like had plans to do things, and I had to just stay home and lay on the couch because my allergies are so bad that I actually have vertigo. Excuse you, Snow. I actually have vertigo pretty bad. Like all day yesterday, I literally could not turn my head at all. And I can just feel my sinuses are just so full of fluid. My ears are clogged. My throat's swollen. Like, I hope I'm not getting sick, because this weekend I'm seeing Jeff Arcuri, the comedian, and he's one of my all-time favorite comedians. I'm obsessed with him. I'm in love with him. So if I'm sick, I'm literally going to scream. Anyways, I got to page like 189 of Horror Movie, and I hate this book. I honestly don't even know what's going on. It's just like you're reading this stupid script from this screenplay from the 90s or whatever, and I honestly don't really understand it. I don't know if this is a case of am I stupid? Because someone else said the same thing. My one friend was like, I didn't understand that book and I felt dumb. And then I saw like 2 reviews on Instagram that said the same thing. And I'm like, are we all just stupid? Like, do only the smart people understand this book? Because I'm confused as to what this is supposed to be. So I'm very bored reading this book. It's very slow. It's very boring. Nothing exciting is happening. There's nothing shocking. There's nothing, like, I'm not scared. There's nothing going on in this freaking book that I'm interested in, okay? And like I was saying, it's just, even the present day chapters, they're boring. There's no character development. It's like him talking to a special effects makeup artist. It's him, you know, like getting the, you know, whatever. They're getting the movie together to reboot, and it's like not interesting. Then we flash back to the 90s where things are happening. Again, not interesting. I don't understand what this is, okay? Because I actually downloaded the audiobook from EVERAND or whatever, and because I just cannot focus on this book. It's so boring. When I'm not interested in a book, my brain shuts down and I cannot read it, okay? The only reason I'm not DNFing is for the sake of this video and because I bought this freaking book, which I'm getting rid of. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna finish it. So I got the audiobook and I'm trying to like read as I'm listening. And the audiobook is really well done. It's a full cast, so it is a very well done audiobook. However, when they're reading the script, they keep like stuttering and then rereading things, and then you hear them like flipping pages, like it sounds like they're reading a real screenplay or like they're rehearsing, but then like background noises start coming in like it's the real thing, and I'm confused as to what the audiobook is supposed to be. Then I'm like reading along in the book and I'm like, what is this? It's just boring, dull, like no character development, nothing scary enough is happening that I'm intrigued. I just really do not care. And then people were like, oh, the ending is so good. And a couple of my friends just read this and said the ending is terrible. Like all my friends so far have hated it. I was trying to finish this up this morning on audio, but McKay started reading it and he wanted to do like a little buddy read. So he's like, just stop and I'll catch up to you. So I stopped. I'm dreading finishing this. Like, I want to throw up. I would rather read Riley Sager and Sally Rooney for the rest of my life than read books like this. Like, I'm so sick and tired of like mainstream horror books that are overhyped and just popular for no reason. It's just really getting on my nerves lately. I really have zero interest in reading like new mainstream horror books unless we do it for Patreon or something. Like if you guys want to do a buddy read of like a new horror book, that's totally cool. But just me on my own buying new popular mainstream horror books, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. Like, this is such a freaking disappointment. It is so boring. Enough ranting. On the flip side, I did start the new Christopher Triana, Because You're Mine. This is a novella. It's a dark romance, extreme horror novella. And of course, this was in The Dark Embrace. I believe it was that limited edition book with Mona. And I love this so far. Please hold, my phone's ringing. Someone with the wrong number, go figure. This is what I deal with all day long at work. So yeah, I absolutely love this so far. So we're following this woman, Shelby. So Shelby is a nurse at a hospital and she likes to kill her patients. She puts, you know, bleach in their IVs and she mixes up like these concoctions of medications, and it's very similar to like just a true crime case, things that happen on the daily, you know, horrible nurses and doctors that do horrible things and kill people because they are psychos, okay? And I love horror books like this. I love realistic horror, extreme horror, whatever it is. I love that realistic feel. It's almost similar to like the feeling you get watching true crime. Listen to the first line of this book. Shelby injected bleach into the dialysis lines. Like, instantly hooked me. I needed to know what was going on. So also we are following this guy, Brian, I think his name is, and his mom is this woman that he hates her, he can't stand her, he wants his mom gone, okay? And she's nasty, she yells, but they're super rich, and I believe there's like an inheritance thing going on, so he just wants his mom dead, right? So one day, you know, she's having a crisis and he purposely calls 911 too late, and she ends up in the hospital. And who is her nurse? Shelby. And Brian notices her, kind of has like a little crush on her, and, you know, his mom complains about her all the time that, oh, this Shelby woman's trying to kill me. So he goes up to her and hires her as their private nurse when his mom leaves the hospital. So that's where I will leave off with you. That's kind of where I've left off in the book also. But yeah, so now he's home with his mom and Shelby is the nurse, and things get wild from there. That is this book. I am so intrigued. I am so invested. I'm on page like 70. I love this so far. Absolutely obsessed. Christopher Triana's writing is amazing. I love the way he writes his characters. I love the way he writes unhinged women. I love just like the descriptions of the atmosphere, and everything is so spot on. I work in healthcare. I've worked in a nursing home full-time for 6 or 7 years, and this is like pretty spot on, and like I said, it's very similar to just real life shit, like a true crime case. I'm obsessed with this so far, so I can't wait to see where this goes. I have like 100 pages left, and I'm just obsessed with Christopher Triana's writing. All right, let's make this quick. I'm gonna give you the good news first. So I finished Because You're Mine by Christopher Triana. I really enjoyed this. Like I said, you know, you're following this crazy nurse, and now she's the at-home nurse for this guy, and there's this serial killer aspect to it. It feels like true crime almost. I will say the second half was very slow. Like, it leans more onto like their relationship and kind of the romance side of things and the serial killer side of things, opposed to like super heavy graphic extreme horror, which I actually prefer. I'm noticing, you know, I really appreciate the books that kind of dabble into extreme horror without getting super over the top, and still have some sort of like plot and character development to them. So that was this book. It was a little bit slow sometimes with some of that like dialogue, because there were a lot of conversations between the two of them, but overall I enjoyed this one. I had fun with it. I gave it 4 stars. Highly recommend. It comes out July 16th, I believe. Like, this could be a full-length book. I would read it. Just like the two of them doing crazy things together. Say no more. I'm in. Christopher Triana is amazing. His writing is amazing. Go read this book. So that's my review on that. I finished Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay yesterday. Let's talk about it. I fucking hate this book, okay? I gave this 1 star. This was so bad. This was a book, like a full-length book that didn't need to be full-length, because it was just non-stop rambling, pretentious, wordy. Like, it was just, it almost felt like he was trying to hit a word count, you know what I'm saying? And people were like, oh, at least it's short, like I flew through it. And I'm like, no, this took me a week to read because it was insufferable. I hated the script, like the screenplay in this book was so bad. It was cheesy. It was just very confusing to follow along. And I talked to other people who said it was also very confusing. I just feel like I hate smart horror books, like horror books that try to be intelligent and pretentious. I just cannot stand them, and that is this book, okay? I could not get into this for the life of me. I hated the screenplay so much. And that was like where things were happening too. And I was like, okay, this isn't even all that interesting. Oh yeah, like some little thing happens at the end. You figure out some information and like, I'm very confused. There are plot holes. I don't understand why or how this has a cult following. I feel like if what happened in this screenplay gained a cult following, I feel like this would have been canceled. Like everyone would have been canceled. There would have been no reboot. I don't understand the purpose of this book. I don't understand Paul Tremblay's writing. I am so mad that I bought into the hype with this one. And you know, I buddy read it with McKay. He hated it. Also buddy read with my friend P. She was kind of like, I don't understand the hype. All three of us were like, what the hell? I don't get it. This is another one that is very overhyped. Oh, I don't know. I find it very hard to believe that this many people love this book. I don't get it. Then last night, I am so burned out with horror, like so burned out, especially after reading that book. I so badly just want to like scrap this video and go read my sad girl books, but we're gonna power through. Last night I started Eynhallow by Tim McGregor. I got 40 pages in and it's about 175 pages. I'm hoping I can finish this up this week. There are a lot of words per page, but this is like a Frankenstein retelling. So it's set in the 1700s and my hair is driving me insane. So it's set in the 1700s and basically we're following this woman, Agnes. She's a really shitty, horrible husband. She has like 4 children and she lives in this town called Eynhallow where there are only 4 families that live there. Tiny, tiny, tiny town. There are like 20 some people in the town, okay? And so obviously everyone knows one another. They all hang out. So one day there's a stranger that shows up on their island and everyone is like, who is this guy? He's a little weird. He looks a little weird. No one knows why he's there, right? But now her husband makes her go like be the kind of like the housekeeper for this guy that just showed up. That's it. That's where I left off. And yeah, I'm gonna see what happens from there. I'm very intrigued. The writing is fantastic. It is a little bit like it reads like it's set in the 1700s, but it's not confusing or boring. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like it's written in the 1700s but more modern, which I appreciate because I read actual Frankenstein and I hated I hate that like old writing. It drives me absolutely insane. So I appreciate that about this book. It's like 1700s for dummies. Love that. Yeah, I like it so far. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. Am I obsessed with it? Probably not, but I do really enjoy it and it's really well written. So I'm just not in a horror mood, to be fair. So we'll see what happens. Okay, real quick, I have to film a whole bunch today because I'm going to see Jeff Arcuri tonight. One of my favorite comedians ever. So I'm so manic and so excited. But I finished this book the other day and let's talk about it. My tortoise Michelle is in the background. She's crazy. But yeah, I finished this book and I ended up absolutely loving it. So I wouldn't really call it like a Frankenstein retelling. It's definitely its own story and its own thing. And it was like really slow and like parts of it were a little bit boring. But then the second half got really bleak, depressing, like dark and just overall fucked up. And I just ended up loving where this story went. It was so beautifully written and so like devastating. Like I actually had a little bit of feels reading this book, which I was not expecting. And you know, we were following Agnes and that man that comes to the island as obviously Victor Frankenstein, and like she kind of falls in love with him, but it's like this very dark, disturbing turn that this book takes, and I just ended up absolutely loving this. Overall, I gave this a 4.5 because it was a little bit, you know, like boring in some parts. It was just so well done and so beautifully written, and I highly recommend, like, even if this doesn't sound like something that is your thing, like if you're into like gothic horror, I would give this one a try. Like this was so freaking good. So anyways, that is it. That is the end of this video. So yeah, hopefully you found some recommendations. This one, Christopher Triana, John Lynch, and if you were curious about horror movie, my opinion, you could skip that one. But yeah, I love you guys, and of course I'll see you in my next video. Bye!